I try to keep it cute, but I can't. Jamal Bryant's wife looked absolutely stunning in that dress. The dress looked beautiful. Her shape, everything about it. It was just beautiful, right? But as someone who's supposed to be representing the kingdom of God, it should not have been worn outside of the house. Simple as that. It's literally that simple, y'all. Here's the thing. People be like, oh, well, she wasn't going to church. Oh, well, she wasn't doing da-da-da-da. We are the church. And wherever we go, we're supposed to be representing God. Therefore, what we wear, how we present ourselves, it matters. She didn't look like she was representing the kingdom of God that day.
Jamal Brown, where all that is in the Bible? Okay. I bought the dress. Is that in the Old Testament or the New Testament? She married to me. Is that in Proverbs or Galatians? Which, everything that you said, was that before or after Moses parted the Red Sea?
So tell me how this looked to you, because everyone saw that Atlanta pastor's wife pulling up to a fundraising gala dressed more like a red carpet guest than someone representing a church. The outfit immediately had people talking, and the conversation started long before the photos finished circulating online. The reaction from church members was strong and nonstop. Pastor Jamal Bryant and his wife, Dr. Kari, have been in full damage control mode ever since. Pastor Bryant stepped in quickly, defending his wife and saying that what she chooses to wear is nobody's business but his. Still, many people felt this moment was different, like boundaries were being pushed on purpose to see how much the public would tolerate. Dr. Kari also appeared frustrated and done with critics, responding sharply to those questioning her choices. Online reactions only made things worse. Social media users began resurfacing old clips, screenshots, and stories tied to Jamal and Kari's past. The response was harsh, detailed, and relentless. Some people started saying that if Pastor Bryant and Dr. Kari want influencer-level attention, then maybe stepping away from the pulpit would make more sense, because many are no longer willing to excuse the behavior. To understand how this escalated, it helps to go back to December 20th, 2025. That night, Jamal Bryant and his wife, Dr. Kari Turner Bryant, attended the 42nd annual UNC Mayor's Masquerade Ball. The event was fully black tie, filled with high-profile guests and donors, and had a serious mission. The goal was to raise money for HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, and the students they serve.
A preacher presented his wife the other day, and I guess you call that a flesh-colored dress. I don't know. It's black dress and flesh color. It gives the illusion that she's not wearing anything underneath. And I heard the preacher, when he defended her dress, by saying, first of all, he bought the dress. And then he said, I want to address people who don't know anything, who haven't been anywhere, who don't know nothing. So I guess our objection to a man of the cloth presenting his wife in public looking like a $2 whore. Two. At least two. Now, I didn't say she was. I'm not talking about her. My statement is not about her. My statement is about him. I said he presented his wife, and he said he bought the dress. Those are his words, not mine.
From a fundraising standpoint, the night was a success. The event raised more than $4 million for the cause. However, the donations were not what dominated the conversation afterward. Once Jamal and Kari arrived, attention shifted quickly. They were dressed for a formal event, but when cameras focused in, Dr. Kari's dress became the center of attention. The black mermaid-style gown was form-fitting and visually striking. The skin tone detailing blended smoothly with her complexion, and her overall look was polished and confident. Her appearance photographed well, and her face card was undeniable. For an influencer, entertainer, or reality television personality, the outfit would likely have been praised without hesitation. Even Beyoncé could wear something similar and be applauded. The debate was never about whether she looked good. It was about context and representation. As the first lady of a church that already receives public scrutiny, many felt the look pushed the envelope too far. That is what sparked the backlash. The tension surrounding Jamal and Kari did not start at this event. Church members had been questioning their relationship for a long time. Dr. Kari previously served as a co-pastor at New Birth Church in Atlanta, placing her in a professional role under Jamal's leadership. That dynamic raised concerns when their romantic relationship became known, as it suggested a conflict of interest. The situation grew more uncomfortable when reports surfaced claiming that although both were technically single at the time their relationship became public, the connection may have begun years earlier while Jamal was still married. Giselle was his first wife, and according to people familiar with the church, the situation became an open secret.
Yeah, I think, there is really an unexpected hope that has come with it that I didn't expect that it would ignite in people. And so I think that hope has been for folks who have been married before, divorced before, or just searching for love, true love for the first time that had not found it. We've gotten so many emails and messages and stories of people who have been renewed in their hope of love because of our story and what we've been able to share.
I divorced because of my infidelity, not because of irreconcilable differences, but because I broke that covenant. And so I had to go through a healing process for myself on what is it that was in me that would go outside of the bounds of my covenant, my agreement, and to risk my family for somebody I never wanted to be with.
Dr. Kari was also perceived as receiving preferential treatment, which left many members feeling uneasy. Rather than addressing the concerns directly, Jamal and Carrie continued forward. They eventually married and later framed their relationship as something they had to fight through, saying they had to overcome obstacles to reach where they are and pointing to the hope they believed they brought to others. For many observers, that explanation did not fully resolve the concerns. This latest move only made their followers more upset. To a lot of people, it confirmed what has been said for years about Pastor Jamal Bryant acting more like an entertainer than a spiritual leader. There is no way either of them did not expect strong reactions to that dress, and some believe the attention may have been part of the plan. That idea lines up with how Jamal has been viewed since the beginning of his ministry. With the dress controversy now dominating headlines, many are revisiting long-standing criticisms about his leadership style. Some critics argue that he has always functioned more like a community-appointed personality than a traditional pastor, and they even question whether New Birth operates like a church in the true sense of the word. People also keep bringing up past controversies that never fully went away. Back in 2007, reports surfaced claiming Jamal had fathered a child with a church member. According to public accounts, the situation was handled privately rather than openly, and there were claims that financial offers were made to resolve the matter quietly. Despite the backlash, Jamal later secured a position within the AME Church in Baltimore. Many believe his father, Bishop Bryant, played a key role behind the scenes in making sure the consequences were limited. Allegations did not stop there. Over the years, rumors have circulated suggesting that Jamal may have had another child during his time at Morehouse, reportedly with a woman in Baltimore. The story goes that this child was kept out of public family appearances to avoid attention and protect Jamal's image. These claims have never been fully addressed, but they continue to follow him. There are also online claims suggesting there may be additional children that have never been publicly acknowledged. While much of this remains speculation, the volume of stories has fueled public skepticism. Another serious allegation that resurfaced involves his former wife, Giselle Bryant. Some reports online claim she struggled deeply after their marriage ended and needed significant mental health support. These claims are often discussed without confirmation, but critics argue that Jamal has never been publicly held accountable for how the marriage ended, especially by his church leadership.
When he bought her the dress and she put it on, they knew the stir that their dress was gonna cause, being flesh-colored. But being a minister and a first lady, you're not new to this. And yes, we all know that the dress isn't actually see-through. It is an illusion. I just don't know where the illusion of nudity fits in with being a first lady. I mean, for me, I feel like there's certain things that you don't expect from certain people.
Of a man. Don't look at his house, don't look at his car, look at his wife. And anybody who looks at my wife will think I'm a billionaire because of the richness of her personality, the wealth of her character, and the expanse of her beauty.
That lack of accountability is why many feel he and his new wife move as if they are untouchable. Even now, Jamal continues to defend himself from the pulpit. He has suggested that critics are simply unfamiliar with high-profile events and do not understand appropriate attire for formal galas. He also stated publicly that he personally selected the dress and that anyone with an issue should direct their concerns toward him. What has stood out to many viewers is not just what he said, but how he said it. In interviews, his tone and wording struck people as more dismissive than pastoral. A lot of listeners felt the messaging lacked humility, and that disconnect is exactly why the criticism keeps growing. Did you catch that response? When it comes to his wife, she appears completely unbothered and fully committed to doing what she wants, dressing how she wants, regardless of how church members feel about it. For a lot of people, though, this situation goes far beyond one outfit. The dress has become the final layer on top of years of controversy that have followed Jamal Bryant since he stepped into the pulpit. That is why the internet is not letting this go. Critics are saying it may be time for Pastor Jamal to admit he misread the room instead of acting like he is above criticism. People have also started revisiting his sermons and public behavior. Some critics argue that his messages and actions do not reflect the humility expected from someone in spiritual leadership. They point to the way his past relationships played out as part of a larger pattern they find troubling. From that perspective, many believe it is inappropriate for someone representing church leadership to present themselves this way at a public event, and even other religious leaders have weighed in. Bishop Wooden publicly criticized the situation, saying that Pastor Jamal Bryant presented his wife in a way that he felt was disrespectful to the role, stating that she looked like a $2,304. That comment alone sent the debate into another level, with people arguing over whether the criticism went too far or if it reflected how offended some church leaders truly felt.
Secure, jealous, petty, small-minded. People got in their feelings and set up a false barometer of holiness based off of a dress. Now you got to help some people because some people have embraced the full knowledge of ignorance without any assistance for understanding. The dress was not see-through. The dress was flesh color. But because you ain't never been nowhere and ain't never been exposed to nothing, furthermore, I needed to set the record straight. Y'all don't like this. I need to set the record straight. I bought the dress. And I like it.
What really rubbed people the wrong way was Jamal using the pulpit to defend the outfit instead of acknowledging why it upset so many. For critics, that moment summed up why they feel disconnected from organized religion altogether. They see it as an example of leadership refusing accountability while dismissing valid concerns. At this point, the conversation is not slowing down. Some people believe the dress was acceptable for a formal event, while others feel Pastor Jamal and his wife crossed a line given their roles. The divide is clear, and the public is still debating where accountability should start. The bigger issue many people are wrestling with is not fashion, but accountability. When religious leaders dismiss criticism outright, it creates a wider gap between leadership and congregation. In this case, the response felt less like reflection and more like deflection. Instead of acknowledging why the moment caused discomfort for many church members, the focus shifted to defending personal choice at all costs. That approach may resonate in celebrity culture, but for people rooted in faith traditions, it comes across as dismissive. It reinforces the idea that image and ego are being prioritized over humility and responsibility. What adds fuel to the conversation is how often Pastor Jamal frames criticism as ignorance or jealousy rather than concern. To critics, that language sounds condescending and avoids the heart of the issue. Faith communities often expect leaders to model restraint, self-awareness, and the ability to receive correction. When those expectations are not met, trust erodes. Over time, small controversies pile up, and moments like this, dress debate becomes symbolic rather than isolated. People are reacting not just to one event, but to a long pattern they feel has gone unaddressed. Another layer to the discussion is the growing overlap between church leadership and influencer culture. Some observers believe Pastor Jamal has leaned into public spectacle, viral moments, and media attention in ways that blur the line between ministry and entertainment.
The dress on the hanger is one thing. You put the dress on, it's another thing. It brings on a new life.
Sure.
She walks out of the room in the dress.
Yes.
Before the event, was the first time you saw her in the dress?
Yes.
What'd you think?
Why do we need to leave?
I don't dress for people. I dress for myself and for my husband. I am a wife, Dress I felt was very appropriate for the occasion. We were not at a church event. We were at a black tie gala.
While visibility can help spread messages and mobilize communities, it also invites scrutiny. When leaders appear to welcome controversy as engagement, it creates confusion about their true priorities. That tension is especially sharp when spiritual authority is involved, because faith communities often expect a higher standard of conduct than what is normal in entertainment spaces. At the core, people are asking what leadership should look like in modern churches. Is it about personal freedom and branding, or about service and accountability? Supporters argue that rigid expectations around appearance are outdated and unfair, especially toward women. Critics counter that leadership roles come with limitations and responsibilities by choice. That debate is unlikely to end anytime soon. What is clear is that moments like this force uncomfortable conversations about power, image, and trust. Until those conversations are addressed directly, every new controversy will continue to feel bigger than it actually is. As this conversation keeps unfolding, what stands out most is how divided the audience has become. On one side, there are people who believe personal expression should never be policed, especially when it comes to women in leadership. They argue that focusing on clothing distracts from more meaningful work and reinforces outdated standards. To them, the outrage feels selective and rooted in control rather than concern. They see the backlash as proof that church culture has not fully evolved with the times, and they believe Pastor Jamal and his wife are being unfairly targeted. On the other side, there are church members and longtime observers who feel deeply disappointed. For them, this is not about fashion or gender, but about consistency and credibility. They believe spiritual leadership requires discernment, awareness, and a willingness to consider how actions affect the community. When leaders appear dismissive of those concerns, it sends a message that authority matters more than trust. Over time, that perception damages the relationship between pastors and the people they are meant to serve. What complicates matters further is the way criticism has been handled publicly. Instead of slowing things down, acknowledging discomfort, or opening a dialogue, the responses have often felt combative. That posture tends to escalate situations rather than resolve them. In faith spaces especially, people expect leaders to de-escalate, not inflame. When defensiveness replaces reflection, it reinforces the idea that accountability is optional at the top. That belief has pushed even neutral observers into taking sides. This moment also reflects a broader shift happening across many churches. Congregations are questioning authority more openly than in the past. Blind loyalty is being replaced with scrutiny, and titles no longer guarantee respect. Social media has accelerated that change, giving people a platform to compare words with actions in real time. Leaders who thrive in this environment are often those who demonstrate transparency and humility. Those who do not are more likely to face ongoing controversy, regardless of intent. In the end, this situation will not be remembered as just a debate about a dress. It represents a larger reckoning around leadership, perception, and responsibility. Whether Pastor Jamal and his wife choose to engage with that reality or continue brushing it aside will shape how this chapter closes. Public opinion may shift, but trust is harder to rebuild once it is fractured. Until there is clear acknowledgement of why so many felt alienated, the criticism will likely persist. For many watching, the real question is no longer what was worn, but what kind of leadership is being modeled moving forward.